Good day guys, my name is Ben and welcome to my channel. Today we're taking a look at the new Bittboy that has recently launched, probably 3 months ago. I waited for the version 2 of the device which has some better buttons and a new and improved software. I did already unbox it to have a quick look and update the system to the latest. The firmware that it came into the box was a bit crappy, so I installed the latest version that was available on the 28th of March this year, so that was pretty good. In the box you get the Bittboy itself, a micro SD card reader, a micro USB cable and a AV out cable. Alright, let's put this aside and compare the Bittboy with some of the other common handhelds. So this is the Bittboy, pretty much the same design. The battery cover is a little bit tricky as the last year. You have to have some sort of sharp object to push it out. Here it is against the original Game Boy. Quite a tiny one as compared to the original one. And here it is against the RS97. The unit that I reviewed last year wasn't too great. I wasn't too impressed with it. Here it is against the Cool Baby NES console, which is based off the original Bittboy. It had the volume rocker. Well, they have removed it in this one, and as you can see, it's got the same ultra tight battery cover, which you need a screwdriver or a bit of plier to push it out. Right. Let's turn this on. And it takes a moment to load up the system. Alright, let's start with the NES emulation first. So all the NES games should play fine on this. Try Contra really quick. It's got the original screen flickering going on, which I don't like personally, and I couldn't find an option to remove it. So it's something you will have to deal with if you don't like it. Otherwise the game sort of plays at full speed and there's no lag in terms of controls, and it's pretty accurate in sound wise as well, so you can't really complain with the NES emulation. There are a lot of devices out there that do NES emulation just fine. This is no different really. Yeah, here I'm playing Adventure Island and I really didn't have any issues at all with NES game. And in the NES you can save and load stats just fine, no problems at all. Okay, let's move on to the Game Boy emulation now, and I find the Gameboy emulator really good. It has nailed the look of the classic DMG with the green screen and the perfect resolution on it, and you can see the gray borders on the side, which looks great as well. Loading and saving state works perfectly fine as well. So here I'm loading a previous save state that I saved further into the stage, and it works perfectly fine. color, sorry, rather graphics and emulation is perfect. Sound is good too. Here I'm playing Batman and trying to load a save state that I saved earlier. Works absolutely fine. This is a stage 1 of 2, or part 2 of stage 1, however you want to put it. And yeah, it works really well. I absolutely like the Gameboy emulation on here. Here I'm playing Felix the Cat, and the sound is pretty good on this, and graphics are pretty accurate too, so I absolutely love playing this game. Not too hard, and very different levels in this game. Let's try another one. So here I'm gonna try something that I saved as a battery save earlier, and just to demonstrate that the battery save works fine as well. So here I save something at the beginning of the stage 1, so I don't have to go through the prologue, and it works absolutely fine. Now playing my absolute favorite game on Game Boy is Ninja Gaiden Shadow, and yeah, it runs really well. It's got accurate accurate sound and graphics, no problems at all. There's no delay in the controls as well. This is the game where you find out really quickly if the controls are not accurate and there is a bit of a delay, because this game requires quite a high precision. Tried out Contra as well, and Contra worked fine. I haven't had any issues in particular with the Game Boy emulation, and it just looks fantastic on this little screen. Tried Gradius, and I found the game to be really hard. The first level is like I couldn't get far in the even on the first level, just like getting killed. Then I tried the Game Boy Color emulation, and Game Boy Color works absolutely fine as well. Here I'm trying Mega Man Extreme 2, trying to skip through the intro really quick and into the game. The game runs fantastic with all the sounds. Perfect emulation here. I couldn't complain really. This screen is fantastic to look at. Right, try another game from Game Boy Color. Got Shantae here. Shantae ran really well. This is one of the difficult games to emulate on the Game Boy, and it worked really fine. No issues at all. Now I'm moving on to Sega Master System emulation. So this is part of the new firmware. So the original firmware only had Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and NES, I believe. And now with the new Open Dingus system, you get all the other systems from the 80s and 90s as well. The Sega Master System worked absolutely fine. I think when I tried to change the resolution, for a brief moment the games ran really fast. Maybe it's something to do with the changing the resolution or the aspect ratios, but otherwise if you load the game in the normal settings, it should just run fine. I haven't had any issues here. Tried another game on Sega Master Systems, and this is Shinobi, and that one worked really fine as well. I didn't hear any sound glitches, but I never had Sega Master System at all, so I'm not sure whether there are any glitches or not, but I think it works rather fine. No issues at all. Okay, now I'm trying the PC Engine Emulation, and PC Engine works rather well actually. I tried 1942. Oh, no, sorry, 1943. And that game works really fine. No issues, no lag, no graphical glitches, and no sound problems. So I just want to take a moment here, like compared to RS-97, which didn't have the proper software support behind it, I really feel like the people behind the Bittboy has done really good job with the software, and like I can immediately tell the software that it came with was a bit glitchy, and then I updated to the new one, and it worked absolutely fine. I mean, I could not complain. I bought this thing for probably around 45 Australian dollars shipped, or around 32 USD shipped, so I can't really complain. Here I'm trying R-Type again on PC Engine, and it works absolutely fine. There's no issues, no sound glitches, no graphical glitches, just works rather fine. Okay, now moving on to a bit of a tricky emulation devices. So I tried Sega Mega Drive or Genesis, depending on which region you live in, and the emulator is fine. I mean, I couldn't notice any glitches or anything like that in terms of sound and video, but the controls are not mapped correctly, so you would have to spend a bit of time here with this particular emulator trying to set up the controls correctly and making sure that all your ABC and XYZ button works fine. Otherwise I didn't see many issues with Sega Mega Drive system. Okay. moving on to the SNES. And with SNES, I'm not too sure whether this device is capable of running SNES, or it's skipping some frames, and therefore the um, sound didn't sound really accurate to me, I think. um, Here's I'm trying Street Fighter 2 game, and I really found that it was probably skipping a few bits in here. Let me know in the comments below whether you think the same. Otherwise the game seems to be running at the full speed. Maybe it's partly because of the skipping frames and so on. This game worked alright. One thing I've noticed with Bittboy is that after a while it might be the CPU might be heating up really, and it could be thermal throttling the device. So I'm trying to play Teenage Ninja Mutants just after playing Street Fighter on SNES, and it ran really choppy. On other instances where I have started this game fresh after the boot, and this game worked okay. There were some frame drop downs here and there, but otherwise it was not bad. um, but here, straight after running a few other games and testing this out, it is running a bit choppy, so something to be mindful of. Trying the final emulator in here, which is the Game Boy Advance. I haven't bothered sort of installing any arcade games or anything like that. And I'm really pleased with the Game Boy Advance emulation. I mentioned last year in my RS-97 video that it couldn't run the Game Boy Advance games at the full speed, and for some reason Bittboy runs it really well. As in, I'm trying one of the stage further in Astro Boy, and the game sort of runs at the full speed. I didn't notice any sound or graphical glitches. And yeah, here I'm trying to just go through the menu and all that sort of stuff, and it's working fine. Yeah, here's the RS-97 for comparison. And in this level there's particularly very large sprites, enemy sprites, that I'm fighting through, and I didn't notice any real issues or slowdowns or anything like that with this game, which is quite pleasing as compared to the RS-97. This device is not absolutely perfect, as in I noticed one of the hardware fault in this machine, where some games, here I'm playing Castlevania for the Game Boy Advance, and when I press right and jump and action button all together, it actually presses the select button for some reason. So it is doing some sort of ghost touching. So here I'm demonstrating it again, trying to do a jump, right, and action together, and it actually presses the select button. If I press them separately, no issues as well, as in like I push right and jump, no problems, push right and action, no problems at all. But if I press all three together, it actually presses the select button for some reason. Okay, in conclusion, this is a really excellent device with a very good screen and button quality. Get it for NES, Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. It can run Game Boy Advance games as well. but some games you are going to run into trouble with the ghost button pressing. Don't get it for SNES. PC Engine games runs fine as well, and I'm pretty sure the Sega Mega Drive, after configuring the control, it should work fine as well for $32. And don't have a lot of expectations. If you want to play NES and Game Boy games, go for it. That's it for now. Thanks very much for watching the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and see you next time.